we all act like this, see?
Yeah.
Well, why don't you call my secretary? We'll set something up for 4 in the morning.
All right, I will. I'll be back, and you can believe that. I don't know what you're kicking about.
I'll tell you what I'm kicking about, like Burt Lancaster.
Right.
Horrible.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you, you're telling me.
Yeah.
And then Borgnine was another guy. Like all of a sudden Marty comes out, and it's people talking.
Yeah.
And like Betty Davis in like All About Eve is like an actual person communicating with her fellow. Like she's working.
What
and
will
Carl
you have, Eve? A milkshake?
Yeah, great. I believe the beginning of Marilyn Monroe sitting on. She was
that's one of her first pictures. I love All About Eve.
And very good. She was very good in it.
Yeah, she's tremendous in it. If she'd played Eve, my wife always argues that Ann Baxter's not sexy enough to be Eve, and my argument is, if she's too sexy, it's too obvious. If it's Marilyn Monroe, then it's like, of course the director and the playwright are going to cheat with her. But when it's Ann Baxter, it's like she has to connive to get guys.
Do you recast stuff with your wife all the time?
Always. I'm sure you do.
Oh, we love it.
Isn't it the greatest game in the world?
All right, we'll play that later.
Yes, please.
So also, Carl Malden and On the Waterfront. On the Waterfront is the biggest like when in music, the kids call it a mashup.
Yeah.
When you play Johnny Cash and Van Halen at the same time or something because it's the same beat. That is the biggest mashup of guys going, say, why don't you get Johnny Friendly down here, straighten it out, say? And then Brando just comes in and goes, where's Johnny Friendly? Yeah. Like he needs to know. And then Carl Malden, next man to throw a bottle, is going to get punched right in the nose.
Yeah.
Like, and you're going, oh my God, a priest that's going to fight.
Yeah.
Like this is real. And then that fucking broad, ugh.
Eva Marie Saint.
Oh, she's horrible. And she got nominated. She's like, you won't disappoint me.
Yeah. It's not my favorite Eva Marie Saint movie.
North
by Northwest is my best Eva Marie
It's
Saint.
Good, but I mean, Brando.
No, she beats her ass. I don't like on the swing set when he puts the glove on. She's talking through the whole scene. It's her scene, and he steals the scene by putting her glove on and taking it finger by finger. And you're like, he's behaving, and she's.
I don't
lines.
like the country. The crickets make me nervous.
Yeah.
Amazing. The best scene stealer ever.
I had some money on you. Rod Steiger. That's
Right.
the greatest fucking your best friend that lets you down line in the world.
Buddy Hackett told me this because he was friends with Brando and friends with Steiger. And that scene, what's his brother? Charlie.
Yeah.
I did what I could, kid. And that back seat is the pinnacle of what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Of Brando going, I could have been some. And that speech is cumbersome and laborious.
Yeah.
But Brando just emotes it and does it for real. And he admitted to Buddy Hackett, he hated Rod Steiger. Because he knew Steiger was so old guard. And he knew that he was, at this point, very in the new guard. And people like Carl Malden that were older than him, I found peers here. I found people that actually can act.
Right. All method.
Craft. Yeah, we're all method and we're talking and communicating, not going like this, see?
Yeah.
And every time.
Right. You were my brother. You should have looked after me.
Yeah, Charlie, instead of a bum, which is what I am today.
Right. John Garfield would have done it different.
Driver.
Garfield was a great actor. Yeah, right.
Here's what your wife will love, too. Rewatch that scene and know this as fact, that every time Brando went, it's because he couldn't believe how awful an actor Rod Steiger was.
Are you kidding me?
So when it's his coverage and he goes, come on, I did the best I could, see? He goes, Charlie.
Is that really what's going on? I just peed myself a little bit.
I see that. That might have been the Pomeranian that you thought was a kitten.
It looked dead like a kitten.
I'm he hated him so much.
Wow, that changes everything because that scene it's held up as the epitome of acting. I mean, it might be one of the most famous clips in cinema history, right?
Charlie,
singing in the rain,
And at one point,
Scarlett O'Hara. There's like 3 scenes they always use.
One of the interstitials, I think he literally just goes,
Charlie,
I
love Steiger in that scene because I really feel like Steiger's a failure as a brother. And he's a failure as a gangster in the movie.
Yeah.
And the things that he does are so underhanded and horrible that in that scene when Brando's really laying it down and going, you fucked me over. You're my brother. You should have looked after me. He goes, hey, I did this. Like the weakest shit you could throw out there.
Yeah.
So maybe it works from obviously, because Ann thought it worked, from an acting standpoint of like, Brando hating his acting makes that scene fucking vibrate
I know what it
with
is.
fucking emotion.
And we'll email back and forth if it's true. Because after the fact, because one of the interstitials is, no.
Ah, no.
And he literally just goes, no,
I can't believe you did that,
take
yeah.
is so horrible. Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? This is my Oscar. You're just sitting going, yeah, say, like chomp a cigar. Why don't you
yeah.
twist your mustache?
Yeah. Yeah. And he's sweating. He's got the fedora on.
Oh, Charlie. Look, there you go. Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
What a scene.
Instead of a
one-way
bum.
ticket to Palookaville.
A bum, which is what I am.
Which, let's face it. Yeah, a bum.
A bum.
That movie and Heart and Soul with Garfield. You ever see that one?
Never seen it.
The guy who directed The Hustler, Rawson. And there's a scene at the end where the gangster comes in. And it's the story that all boxing movies kind of. He's a kid from the slums. He marries the beauty queen. He starts to be the champ. Then the gangsters come and they co-opt him. Then on the last fight, it's like Pulp Fiction. The guy comes in and goes, third round or whatever.
Raging Bull, too.
Right. Every boxing
Yeah.
man. He goes,
I don't know.
and then he doesn't fucking do it. The gangster comes in and goes, and he's like, I'm talking about.
Go back and say it again because I talked over you because this is too cool.
It was Garfield in Body and Soul. The apex when it's the night of the big fight for the championship of the world, and he's gonna lose.
As Tim McCarver would say.
Right. The gangster comes in and he goes, in the end, and he has that delivery. In the end, it's all addition and subtraction. Right. You don't mean anything, but
Yeah.
And Garfield, of course, throws it the other way and wins. And then morally, we win at the end, and he gets the girl who's Pear. What the fuck's her name? Pear Angeline.
Sure, Angelina Jolie.
She's gorgeous.
In
When
Time
you see
Machine.
it, you'll thank me when you watch it as a
All right,
boxing
good.
movie because it has the commie politics, and it has the Jewish thing. Like
In
he's a
the
kid.
end-
He's a Jewish boxer. Like
Ooh.
they don't say it, but
There
like
used to
he
be
is.
a lot of Jewish boxers.
He is.
In the turn of the century in the 20s, there was a plethora.
Famously, Abe Patel, right from the Black Sox scandal.
And a lot of them had to change their names.
Yeah, they
when-
did. They used to box when they were in the same
Immigrants.
boat as or before Italians.
When they got thrown in with the rest of
fuck
the
yeah.
immigrants.
Yeah.
Everyone's in the
when
same
they let
tax
blacks
bracket.
box at the turn of the century, when Jack Johnson was.
Yeah, I don't know why they let blacks in. They ruined the whole sport.
I always said that about TV and baseball, but the thing is, they're there now, and
I don't want to put on my TV and see some guy with a family. Like, I'm supposed to believe blacks have a family, right? What's next? He goes out the door to his job?
yeah, right.
JJ, please. I might have been born, but I wasn't born at night or something like that, right? You know what I mean, Greg?
Yeah.
I mean,
Do
I'm not a racist.
No, not at all.
I'm just saying I might have been born, but I wasn't born at night.
Right.
Okay? If you know what I mean.
Right.
Dark.
The daylight shines on you.
Best stolen scene, Paul Newman losing his mind. You said The Hustler earlier. And when he's losing his mind and they've been up for 2 days and they just keep cutting that clock. And then Gleason makes such a show of putting on his jacket and his handlers hand him everything. And then he puts his hand out and they go to hand him his glove because he's leaving. He's lost.
Yeah.
And then he goes, chalk.
Yeah.
And you go, oh my
Yeah.
God.
Boing.
Oh, such
Chalk.
a boner. Because Newman's just watching Jackie Gleason get dressed. He's taking him down. Gleason just stands up, lays down his stick, puts on his overcoat, his scarf, doesn't say a word, no, but he's still got that face there.
How great is Gleason in that movie? Like, he's in a lot of movies, and then there's the Smokey and the Bandit era, and the things people know him for. But in that movie, because he only has maybe, how much dialogue does he have in that movie? 20 lines? 10?
I only remember one word,
Yeah.
chalk.
Chalk. Yeah.
Just waves off the guy handing him his gloves.
Yeah.
Chalk. He doesn't even say he goes, chalk.
Chalk.
And then Newman just puts his head down, realizing, there's no way I can't stay up for another 4 days.
Look at you, Fats. You're beautiful. Pink. Perfect. What does he say? Powdered like a baby.
It's the best. Gleason, I think, is one of the
Eddie,
guys.
let's shoot pool.
Gleason probably left more. They go like, hey, man, you leave it all out on the field, like in baseball. Like,
Yeah.
Gleason's a guy that died and took a lot of fucking talent to the grave with him.
Yeah, he did. He didn't leave it all on the field.
No, he did not give a shit, didn't try.
No.
He was
for about 1,000 things.
He was a cantankerous motherfucker.
He was.
but
Once he
then
made it and he was rich,
Yeah.
it was his way.
And you watch The Hustler and you go, bro.
Not in that one. In that one, right? He fucking throws down.
Yeah, and even there's like weird, his show, The Honeymooners, for crying out loud.
He's amazing.
Who's funnier than that?
I was going to say he might be in some ways, and I'm basing it on one movie. Not you have to throw out like all of his movies. Sergeant in the Rain with Steve McQueen, The Hustler.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Yeah, fucking A, man, right?
2 pairs, underpants,
Yeah.
starch,
Yeah.
cotton. And Steve
How
McQueen.
great is Gleason in that fucking movie?
No one. I can't believe you just said that.
Right?
No one has seen that movie.
That's what I'm saying. You know what comedians act, and we all act, but like he's a great actor. Like he's
Gleason
a Chaplin-esque
is
actor. He can do pathos. He can do.
Gleason's the guy in charge, and he's kind of friends with McQueen.
Right.
McQueen's sort of like, I think, like a supply sergeant.
Right,
But
and
he's got
boob.
he's got a racket going.
Yeah.
And the big thing is Gleason has a brand new Pepsi machine in his office. But for some reason, the Pepsi machine, it's the hottest base, obviously on a Coast Guard operation because we're in the middle of nowhere in the heat.
Right.
But it had to have been a note from the studio because they're having ice cold. Like Steve McQueen has earned, like, do this for me, come back in, you can have an ice cold Pepsi.
Right.
But that wasn't enough because when you watch the movie, when the Pepsi comes out, there's some like otherworldly sound that the machine makes that it wouldn't make today.
Right.
That the studio said, we need it to be more like exciting when the Pepsi comes out.
Yeah, the vending machine has to be a
It
whole.
literally goes
yeah.
doo 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 doo,
Yeah.
and a Pepsi falls out,
Wow.
and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
why?
It's a sweaty movie. It's the scene at the end. Well, I don't want to spoiler alert.
No, do it.
Where they have the big bar fight and Gleason picks up the 2 dudes and throws them down the bar with pure physical fucking insanity, and then and like just falls to the floor, and McQueen all of a sudden is cradling it. It's
And
boy
McQueen-
movies.
McQueen is good once in a while, and that's one of those movies that no one
You're
saw.
making a mockery of my game, and he's kind of southern in it or something.
Yeah, and he always looks like a monkey to me.
Doesn't he?
He really looks like a chimp.
Look, we can do McQueen. The Sand Pebbles. I know it's long and boring and epic, but I love him in the last reel of the Sand Pebbles. He's off the deep end, and
I
also
never
the
saw
scene.
Sand Pebbles.
Have you never seen it?
No.
Oh, it's great. You'll like it. I won't go through the whole thing. They're a gunboat on the Yangtze River in the 20s. I don't know why. And Richard Crenna's the captain.
The War of the Yangtze River.
Simon Oakland, who you remember from the Night Stalker, he was always the editor.
Bassist in the Oak Ridge Boys.
Right? Exactly.
Friends with Jimmy Osmond.
Yeah. And Mako, the Japanese actor, plays the coolie who works in the engine room, and he
God forbid they just let him be called Mako.
Right.
No, you play Cooley.
Yeah. McQueen has to teach him how to run the engine, and they become best friends. It's one of those because
Sand Pebbles. This is
exactly. What's his name directed it? Robert Wise. There's a little bit of Vietnam in it, like they're interfering in Asia and it's not going well. And Richard Attenborough goes ashore and falls in love with a prostitute and like wants to marry her and won't come back to the boat and shit. So he goes in and there's another Japanese actor who's still alive who plays a gangster in it. And he goes into this fucking opium den bar to get Richard Attenborough back in the gangster. He's like, oh, you come here, sailor. Like it's really, you'd love some of the parts of it because it takes place.
the
it's
Asian
old-fashioned.
gangster really has gone by the wayside in American cinema, and I think
Has
the
it
last.
not? Now they're Japanese guys with fucking tight hair dudes, and in those days, this dude's wearing a fedora, and like.
There's one. I think it's King of New York. There's a guy.
Is that the best movie ever?
It's pretty good, and Walken has to meet the Japanese mob.
Yeah.
And it's in a cinema,
Yeah.
and they're watching.
I can't remember now.
I know what it is. They're watching Nosferatu.
Yeah.
And they're negotiating prices.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's no good. Nothing goes down. If a nickel bag gets sold in the park, I want in. You guys got fat while people were starving.
Yeah.
And then they make their deal, and then right at the end, as Walken gets up to leave, the guy goes, you should come back tomorrow, Frank. I'm showing Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah. It's such a.
It's so, like, yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll just come back to hang.
Yeah. Right.
So, Richard
Don't you think
Aldrich.
Abel Ferrara made 2 great?
Bad Lieutenant, one of my all-time favorite movies.
Which one?
Bad Lieutenant.
That's what I was gonna say.
He calls Jesus a rat fuck. You rat fuck! Where the fuck were you? Where the fuck were you, you rat fuck? I'm obsessed with Bad Lieutenant. You've come into the right garage.
I think Bad Lieutenant and King of New York has a long, boring part in the middle. There's a lot of entre shit, but like the scenes, the Lawrence Fishburne scene with the root beer. There's so many scenes in it that are just the shootout in Chinatown is an amazing set piece that Michael Cimino wishes he directed.
Why didn't you come visit me?
Yeah.
Who wants to see you in the cage, man?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Is that root beer? Yeah.
No.
What is it? You want some root beer? There's
King-
some things.
There's some King of New York. There's that black. I think maybe he's a
Walsall.
piece Puerto Rican, like quarter Puerto Rican. Piece probably sounded horribly racist, and I apologize. I think he might be like a
Quadroon.
Yeah, octoroon. He's like maybe a quarter Puerto Rican. He's got the big mole.
Yeah.
On his face. He's always on
Yeah.
Law and Order. He's always
Right.
a constant great guest star. He's a great actor. I forget his name, but he crosses Frank White.
Yeah.
And Walken's got him in the stairwell, and he goes, "Just tell me why. Just tell me why." And the guy finally breaks down and goes, "It was for the money, all right." And then Walken acts like he didn't hear him. And he goes, "Just tell me why."
Yeah.
And it's the spookiest
Yeah.
shit you've ever
Yeah,
heard. Like
yeah.
the guy admits it.
Right,
He
and I'm
knows. Like in music, the kids call it a mashup.
Yeah.
When you play Johnny Cash and Van Halen at the same
Right.
time or something because it's the same beat. That is the biggest mashup of guys going, "Say, why don't you get Johnny Friendly down here? Straighten it out, say?" And then Brando just comes in and goes, "Where's Johnny Friendly?"
Yeah.
Like he needs to know. And then Carl Malden, next man to throw a bottle, is going to get punched right in the nose.
Yeah.
Like, and you're going, "Oh my God, we all act like this, see?
Yeah.
Well, why don't you call my secretary? We'll set something up for 4 in the morning."
All right, I will. I'll be back, and you can believe that. I don't know what you're kicking about.
I'll tell you what I'm kicking about, like Burt Lancaster.
Right.
Horrible.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you, you're telling me.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Borgnine was another guy. Like all of a sudden Marty comes out and it's people talking.
Yeah.
And like Betty Davis in
If she's too sexy, it's too obvious. If it's Marilyn Monroe, then it's like, of course the director and the playwright are going to cheat with her. But when it's Anne Baxter, it's like she has to connive to get guys.
Do you recast stuff with your wife all the time?
Always. I'm
That's
sure
great.
you do.
Oh, we love it.
Isn't it the greatest game in the world?
All right, we'll play that later.
Yes, please.
So also, Carl Malden and On the Waterfront. On the Waterfront is the biggest. Oh my God, a priest that's gonna fight.
Yeah.
Like this is real. And then that fucking broad. Ugh.
Eva Marie Saint.
Oh, she's horrible. And she got nominated. She's like, "You won't disappoint me."
Yeah. It's not my favorite Eva Marie Saint movie.
I don't
North by
really-
Northwest is my best Eva
It's
Marie
good, but I mean, Brando.
Saint. No,
going,
she beats her
I
ass.
I
The
don't
scene on
like
the swing set when he puts the glove on. She's talking through the whole scene. It's her scene, and he steals the scene by putting her glove on and taking it.
like All About Eve is like an actual person communicating with her fellow. Like
Right.
she's working.
What
And
will
Carl
you have, Eve? A milkshake?
Yeah, great. I believe the beginning of Marilyn Monroe sitting on. She was
Yeah, it's one of her first pictures.
and-
I love All About Eve.
and very good. She was very good in it.
Yeah, she's tremendous in it. If she'd played Eve, my wife always argues that Anne Baxter's not sexy enough to be Eve, and my argument is